Hello, everyone, and welcome to Epic Loot Radio. Brian and Kirk here, bringing in a guest here, Jim Tasty. Welcome in. Coming in originally, it's Jesse Eisenberg. So, as a part of our little technical staff move before we got in, we got to fix your name. But welcome to the program. We might also have some other guests jumping in and joining us throughout the show, as there is just a lot to cover gaming news wise. But Jim, dude, like, tell people about you, what you got creating, and yeah, let's dive into it.
Yeah. So my name's Jim Tasty, obviously, and I'm a streamer over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jim Tasty, playing a lot of like shooters and battle royales. And then I also am part of Shared Screen, so we do a lot of like pop culture coverage and video game coverage as well on YouTube.
All right. Well, welcome into the program. Go ahead.
He's selling himself short just by saying he streams on Twitch. Like, this guy's like one of the most entertaining streamers I've ever seen. I see all the clips I see you post on Twitter. I'm just like, this guy is nuts, dude. I first saw you when it was going around that you did a cosplay. I want to say it was like a Ghostbusters outfit that you would like repurpose by putting like a plastic dome on your head, and he was cosplaying as like Olimar or like one of the Pikmin guys. It was just fantastic, and yeah, I've been following this dude ever since. And yeah, your Twitch streams are great. Do you do YouTube like edited videos of like your streams, or do you just post the VODs?
Right now, just with that, I just post like the occasional VOD, like not every VOD, but if it's like a special like react or something, I'll just throw it up there.
So that's why you got to catch this guy live and then follow him on Twitter.
A lot of shorts though,
Jim Tasty tweets. Yeah.
How are the shorts working out for you? Like, I'm just generally curious.
I mean, like overall, like fine. Like I don't like do any crazy edits. I just kind of clip basic stuff and then do like slight tweaks. And depending on like the average is like 2K for a short, so just solid based on where I'm at right now. Obviously, I want to like expand that, but for now, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Do you use any software for that, or are you like manually making those shorts yourself?
It's like straight up just like the little Twitch feature that like, makes it vertical, and then if it's like too long, if there's like some dead air or something, I'll just try to trim it and stuff, and then I just throw it up.
Dude, I didn't even aware that Twitch made that as a new feature. That's great.
Oh, so clutch, yeah.
Kirk coming in off of another collab with Lono. Dude, what are you playing? And I don't know if what Lono was talking about today, and you guys, you can feel free to plug that as well.
We talked about Star Wars, so it's all thematic today. But I've been playing Star Wars Dark Forces, and I've been playing a lot of Skull and Bones, baby.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, I love the dedication, man. Like, dude, I love it.
I'm like 70, somewhere between 70 and 80 hours in. This game is
my new world. Like, it's like Kirk is like, this is great, and I'm not knocking on it, but it's like it feels like I'm just watching myself. So
I found this quest to like fight this ghost ship at night, right? And I like fought it for the first time, and that was really cool. It's like a siren ghost ship, and it like shrieks as you fight it, and like teleports everywhere, and that's just like cool, right?
That's cool. That is really cool.
Like if somebody just stuck you in a gameplay preview and was like, "Here, play this for 5 minutes," you'd be like, "Oh, that was pretty cool." Like, not that the rest of the game is necessarily, but that is in isolation. And then I was like in another server another day, like doing another thing. Like you have these deliveries that you do, and you have like this very valuable cargo, and pirates are chasing you, and you're just hauling butt to try to get to the port that you need to get to with like 5 guys on your tail trying to hit you with mortars and stuff. So I was doing that, and then I lost the people that were tailing me. I was like, okay, I gotta get there. And then I just saw some guys to my right fighting the ghost ship, and I was like, I'm going to go fight this ghost ship. I don't care. So I went in and fought the ghost ship, and I fought the ghost ship with the guys. And like, so there's like, this currency that drops from fighting the ghost ship, like that you can only use with like one faction. And if you get like 75 of it, and only like 2 or 3 drops from every kill. If you get like 75 of it, you get the best flamethrower in the game. It's like a flamethrower that goes on the front of your ship, and it screams like the ghost ship when you're torching an enemy. It's so freaking cool, and it's got like blue fire. and it's like always on fire. It's so sick. It's got like this blue Spectre fire thing. And I was like, dang, I wish I could get that, but there's no way I want to grind that ship for like however long it would take me to get 75 of this token thing or whatever. But so anyway, that's the preface. So I go fight the ghost ship because I'm like, well, if there's dudes fighting it, I'm going to fight it. We fight the ghost ship and we kill the ghost ship. It's like me and 2 randos. And then it just goes Blue Spectre acquired, like doosh, the loot drops. It's like getting Galahorn or something. And I was like, what do you mean acquired? Like, what do you mean? I was like the Jennifer Lawrence me. What do you mean? What do you mean? And I go look at my inventory. I just have the flamethrower now. Like, I don't know
there you go.
what the percentage drop of that was. I've seen people that have grinded it for like 5 hours or something.
Yeah.
But like, I just have that flamethrower now, and I have the best cannons in the whole game because I did the battle pass. Like, I'm hooked, dude. Like, my ship is decked out. I have like a level 12 ship. Like, you start with like a level 1 ship. Like, level 12 is like about the highest you can get. So like, that's the hook for me. Is like, my ship is dope. Like, I have the best cannons, the best blankety blank available to possibly have on a ship. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a badass pirate. Like, let's go. That's what's getting me. I don't know when I'm gonna hit that wall of like, there's nothing else I can do. Because like, I'm looking it up online. I'm like, wait, you mean that's just one boss? You mean there's all these other bosses that have these very rare drops or whatever that I could like farm and like try to get, and I could put all that other stuff on my ship? Like, what if I had all the stuff on my ship? And so, like, I didn't mean this to be like a long Skull and Bones tangent, but like, it's very enjoyable.
I love this so much.
It's so weird. Like, I just feel like there's this whole aspect of the game, like, nobody other than the people that like stuck with it, like, are even aware that it exists. It is 100% just another Destiny. Like, it's just that type of game, but you have a boat. You're a pirate and you have a boat, and you're tricking out your boat instead of like your stupid gauntlets and your stupid helmet and your stupid bangle thing if you're a warlock or whatever in Destiny, like, or your Titan skirt, your kilt, or like whatever.
I believe it's called a bond.
Instead of that, like, you've got like, you know, your weapons and your whole armor and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's like, it's got me like, what's cooler than having a freaking blue fire, ghostly, shrieking flamethrower that I just absolutely and it just melts dudes too.
Yeah,
like, you know, I just roll up on these pirate guys and I'm just like, just and they just blow up. It's man, I'm loving this game, dude. It's
so
gonna
glad.
get.
It makes me happy.
I'm gonna wake up one day and I'm gonna be like, I don't want to play that anymore, and then like never play it again. But like, until that point, hell yeah.
Well, you like because that's the thing about games as a service games, that generally, like, there's exceptions. I think Helldivers 2 is a category of an exception to the rule, but generally the rule is like, you have a game, it comes out, people are checking it out, and they either are like, yes, this is something that I'm enjoying, I'm gonna stick with it, or whatnot. I believe that the general principled rule about a game as a service success is that they keep making the game, and that ends up being where people try to like obsess over the numbers. But if people are enjoying it, like Kirk is enjoying it, like, you don't need, you know, a massive amount of community playing it. You just need to have like a core,
that's what they said.
fan base.
They touted that their average engagement is 4 hours a day.
That's incredible.
Like, yeah, like, and people are like, yeah, but their player base is terrible.
Who cares?
Like, yeah, like, people dream of that. Like, that's what's carrying games like Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov, is like, yeah, you get a dedicated community. I mean, they just kind of skipped some steps, right? Like, they've skipped like the AAA steps of like everybody clamors around the game and everybody's playing. Like, it eventually falls off and gets to that point where there's a dedicated community and that's the only people that play it. Like a game like For Honor or something. And it's like,
any games as a service game. Like,
I mean, jump straight to that, but there's a lot of games that don't have that. Like Suicide Squad is a red alert, like triple alert danger of like not being able to cultivate that, not having any type of dedicated player base. And they've really got to hope that the Joker DLC, which just announced, it's March 28th. Get ready, Brian.
Okay.
Get ready.
We'll be
March
ready.
28th.
Yeah, I promise. I promise
for us
Kirk
to make content that nobody's gonna watch ever.
We're just not gonna put the word in the title because, like, we definitely got put into timeout by
Killed my channel.
YouTube.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is like, and for you were talking like about it like on a stream, and it's like, why didn't that happen for Lono? I was like, well, a lot of people will show up for Lono for him, and so it doesn't matter like what game he's talking about but when you're like, yeah, here's a review. not a lot of people are searching for it, and your general community may be like, I don't care. It's like, all right. But it is, it's always an educational lesson. Have you been playing Skull and Bones, Jim Tasty, or what would you just say is like your go-to game? Because you gotta, I saw you perk up when we talked a little bit of Destiny.
Yeah, I used to play Destiny a while back. I mean, right now, like my go-to.
Isn't that the story of every Destiny player?
Yeah. My go-to like live service game right now is Fortnite.
Okay.
I'm playing that multiple times a week. Because like you're saying, like they update that game constantly, so there's always something new to do. So it's always fresh. So it's probably my go-to live service game. As I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, I only have time for like one of those, because like the more you get into it, like it's just you got to keep up, right? So, but addicted.
Fortnite's a good one for a content creator to only have one.
Exactly, 100%. That's definitely, I think, a part of it is there's just always something new to play. Anybody can play it, so it's always fun.
Yeah, my kids haven't hit that age where they're asking about Fortnite. They're still on Roblox and Minecraft and Pal World, dude.
Pal World.
Right? Yeah. Like if anybody ever looks at my Discord, like, hey, what's he playing? It's always on Pal World. Like that is what it is. But for me, I've been taking some time. And I stepped into Nightingale. Now, I did not step into it enough that I feel like we could do a review. So we were originally talking about bringing that into this show, but it was like, I played it. And honestly, what I told Kirk privately, I was like, I would rather be playing Enshrouded. And then Kirk this weekend messaged me a review from the Skill Up team. And I was like, yeah, that is, I didn't have that amount of time. I think they put 30 hours into it, but I felt like the time I put 2 hours into the game, I felt like that checks out. Like it's like oh, and again though, Nightingale is also early access, and I think it is hopeful that they're going to take some of the feedback, which is part of early access, implement that and make a much more enjoyable game. But that's when we talk about like things competing for your time, I'm like, yeah, like I was playing. You guys remember Crucible? That was Amazon's shooter third person thing that they came out. I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive in. I want to learn the classes. I'll put out some guides for people, and I forced myself to play it, and that was an absolute mistake because the whole time I was like, I'd rather be playing Gears or any other third person shooter. Like it just is off. There's something wrong, and I didn't make that video about like there was something off with that game earlier because I was like, I don't want to just add to the negativity. My Destiny feed is just all negative right now, and and as Asmongold says about WoW, it's like like everybody just loves to hate the game, but it's still like everybody's still playing it while they just grumble away. But that's something for me. But like obviously Pal World with the kids, Nightingale, and then stepping back a little bit into Final Fantasy 14 with the Xbox launch, which has been really enjoyable. And I was talking to you in the pre-show, Jim, as like Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Like I am trying to find every possible second of my day to spend on Remake. It is truly makes me wish that Square Enix would just do the same thing for 6 and 9. And like, I'm like, if they did this, they just like doing
just
this.
take the Resident Evil route, right?
Seriously.
Exactly.
I'm not even a Final Fantasy guy, and Remake was the game that like got me hooked, and so I've been playing Rebirth, and hopefully it'll expand beyond. But
we'll have to do a Rebirth discussion. I'll see if I can. Again, like I might have 7 hours a week to play video games, and so it's like, all right, what bucket do I fill?
I'm a Like a Dragon guy. And,
yes, I need to play that.
Just the general sort of vibe of 7 Remake like makes me feel like, oh yeah, I would enjoy.
Yeah,
I feel like they're in the same class of video game for sure.
And I promised Kirk that I would play Infinite Wealth Like a Dragon, and he's also challenged me to come play some Hunt Showdown with him.
We'll see if that happens. Yeah,
we'll see if that happens. So.
that might be expecting too much of you when you can only play.
Oh, dude, who knows? The summer does change my entire life because we don't have to cart kids back and forth to school. So it is like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's just more time in the day. But that also just generally means that like I'll get rushed by the kids on occasion. But we got some news to cover. I'm gonna go and add it here to the screen. This is kind of breaking news. So for anybody who's interested, Xbox has announced for March the 6th the partner preview program with some fresh looks at games for Xbox and Windows. Obviously, no mention of PlayStation in here. I think that would have been pretty rough to see. But do you have any predictions? Like, what do you want to see from kind of this event? Because they list a couple of games and publishers.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in Tales of Kenzera Zhao just because of the whole inspiration behind that game and the dev team. Beyond that, like I don't know. I mean, I think last year when they had this show case, they had the Metal Gear Solid Delta kind of reveal tease. So I'm very excited about that game. So I'm hoping we get something on that scale for this showcase. But usually these are pretty more muted than like the developer directs or comparing like Nintendo and stuff like that. So not sure what to expect, but any good news is good news, right? So as we I always say E3, but as we march our way to what was formerly known as E3, the June kind of time frame where they announced a whole bunch of new stuff.
Some people in my Discord were kind of like, I was actually made aware of this through our Blue Protocol kind of chat channel, because we have the Blue Protocol database team kind of tweeting out like some kind of like hint and mysterious, and it also then coincides very closely to this this announcement. So while Amazon Games isn't listed on the list, I think that would be something that would be exciting, because everybody within Blue Protocol and even Throne and Liberty, like two upcoming games as service games, both have already been announced that they're coming to console. So it is a known that these games will be on Xbox and PlayStation. In fact, we've already seen it running on these systems already. I do wonder if this event will be another touch point. Otherwise, we're all looking, I guess, towards PAX East here in a couple of weeks before we see another round of kind of that public news push. So that would be something that I will be looking forward to on the 6th to see if there's any kind of late breaking news, because both in terms of release dates and games, I don't know if they there's this looming question where do they also launch both of these their MMOs? They're different, it's style and how it plays, but do they launch them anywhere close to one another if they're ready to go, or do they give them some breathing room and let people play one and then play the other? Because I just wonder if we're going to see a Titanfall 2 situation where they sandwich that game in between, and that is still in my mind the better game out of everything that was launched in that. But you could see that nostalgia just dominate that game.
I would stick up for Battlefield 1 a little bit,
Okay.
But
to be fair, I have actually never played a Battlefield game.
Ooh.
So yeah.
I'm a Call of Duty guy more than Battlefield guy, but Battlefield 1 like really clicked with me. What was that Call of Duty that year? Yeah, World War One.
What was that Call of Duty?
I think was that
Infinite? Was that Infinite?
Yeah,
like that?
Which people are higher on now than they were back at launch.
Yeah,
I always see people talk it up whenever single player like Call of Duty campaigns get brought up or anything like that. So I don't know. What a great time for first person shooter fans.
Oh, absolutely. But if they launched Titanfall 2 like in the spring, like when there was like none of that, I think it would have probably got the reception that it needed. But anyway, let's dive into we have a couple things we want to talk about on today's show. Star Wars Dark Forces. Obviously, Kirk said he's been hands-on with that game as he jumps back in. Kirk, do you want to take over for the Star Wars Dark Forces? Because like I told you, I kind of am more of a Trekkie. Which is blasphemous, I guess.
I'll let Jim go first because he's like the super fan, I think, out of the group. And as far as I know, he was having a good time with it. So that's one of the reasons that we brought him on, is he's a big Star Wars guy. And I love this guy's passion for just various IPs and things. Like he really wears it on his sleeves. So Star Wars is one of those. I saw him tweeting about both of these sort of remasters that are coming out, and wanted to get his view on that. So yeah, man, take it away.
Yeah, so I think just general impressions. I've really been enjoying it. Me and Kirk were talking about it on like Twitter or something. Like, I've tried to play this. This is my first time playing the game, and I've tried to play it before, and it's like, it's an MS-DOS game, so like you kind of have to get it to do some things to get it to work on a modern PC, and then because it's MS-DOS, like there's no mouse support, so it's all like keyboard, and it's like it's a little rough to like try to
You had to
play.
hit page up and page down to shoot
Yeah.
up and down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little rough. So I think just in terms of bringing it to new platforms is awesome. They did a great job in terms of just remastering it. Where if you like, I know Digital Foundry did a great little breakdown of
They did, yeah.
comparing the new version and the old version, and they, um, it's not a bad remaster, but like if you look at like Halo Anniversary, where they kind of like significantly changed the art direction, that's not good or bad, but you know they kept faithful to what the original game was like. Um, and yeah, controls are better. Easy achievement list. It's a sneaky thing for me. Is like when the achievements aren't super annoying, I'm like, yeah, yes, let's go. Just gotta
Isn't it
beat
just
the
like if you
game.
beat the game, you get the platinum?
Basically, yeah. So
Oh.
yes, so super
I-
easy,
Somebody who has no platinums.
dude. Let's go. Do it. Do it.
People are like, "Oh, look at this dad with no platinums." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I got they're my platinums run around and they break things."
Yeah. So and yeah, so I'm a big Star Wars fan. So like uh getting back into like that old EU kind of Star Wars storytelling where like uh I love Rogue One, but like having just like this one dude sneak in and get the plans is super cool. Also, I love the Kyle Katarn character. That's like a huge like,
is too easy.
yeah. So I just love the Kyle Katarn character. So it's super cool. And then we'll talk about it later too. But you know, with the canceled respawn FPS game, I'm like, dang man, like how do we not have like more FPS like Star Wars shooters? Because it's like this, kind of like the sequels, although you get the lightsaber in the other one, so I never use the guns once I get the lightsaber. Republic Commando, it's like we haven't had like a Star Wars shooter since Republic Commando. Trying to think, I don't know, like in terms of like a single player like experience, like it's been a long time.
So yeah, and that was the thing for me is like I was really excited to get into one that was based around the originals.
Mhm.
But I want to ask you two questions. Like, how did you feel with it actually like hands-on with it for like a number of hours? Did you get that platinum, for example? And then also, how do you feel about the price point, the MSRP, given that experience?
Yeah, I think hands on, it's super fun to play. Controls are great. I never felt like I was trying to fumble on what button to press to do whatever. Um, I know we were talking about it. I think in on Twitter messages, like some of the game design stuff is definitely a little antiquated. It was funny, like I'm sure it's on like one of my VODs somewhere. Like sometimes it was like there's like a panel that you have to activate, but it looks like all the other panels, but you can't really
It
tell.
just looks like a wall texture.
Yeah, and but then sometimes there was stuff too where I'm like, how do I get past this door? And there's like a giant like little light bulb thing at the top that you have to shoot. I'm like, oh, I'm so like, how did I miss that? So it's give or take there. And but like with that kind of discuss like question, like I never want to be like the game it's bad because the game it's old or whatever. Like it's you just got to meet it where you're at and where the game's at and try to like kind of find a balance there. So regardless though, like overall, I'm still having a good time. And then price point, it's definitely like in a perfect world, probably $20, right? I think would be like a sweet spot to get more like casual fans interested. Um, but I think overall, like for me, $30 or not have the game exist at all, I wouldn't mind paying the $30. So and I
That's a fair
know
way to look at it. Yeah.
Night Dive, they always like do it well with all their like remasters and up-res ports and stuff like that. So, like they brought back like an old cut content level and stuff like that. So definitely want to support them with what they do. And when it's a story I love, like got to do it.
So it's another $30 game.
Yeah.
Man, like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a re-release of a PlayStation 1 game, so it's a little rough, but
Well,
Yeah,
can
it's
you
like-
play? Like, could you
thir-
play it otherwise? Like, because I don't believe
no, not
that-
really.
Yeah.
So I mean, $30 is
You have to have, like, a
is the new
PS3.
$20.
It was like on PS3, I think, as like a PS1
And that
classic.
game
Well,
doesn't run
PS
well.
yeah.
That game does not run well.
The PS1 port is like a little rough,
Yeah, it
compared
is.
to the MS stuff.
No, as a remaster, this is really good. The only thing that I would caution, and I said this on Reforge as well, is I just didn't think it was that fun.
Mhm.
Like,
Is that because of like that it is naturally a dated game? And
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And it's very maze-like in terms of its design. Um,
Dude,
it's very they play with corners a lot and like what's in your peripheral and what's not. So like very often you'll enter a room and you're trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, and then there's a door over there, and you go through that door, and then you go down that whole pathway, and then you hit a dead end. You're like, oh, I guess this wasn't the way I was supposed to go, but I did find some neat stuff or whatever. And you
Mhm.
come all the way back to that original room, and that you realize that the place that you were supposed to go was literally a U-turn right there. Like
Mhm.
you went that whole way, but when you entered that room, if you were going to go the fastest way to finish the level, it would have been do a U-turn and then see that door that's the same. Like you can't see it because they specifically have you enter this room in this way, and
yeah.
so you don't see the door that's right there, like behind you, sort of. And they do that all the time, and it's so
Mhm.
frustrating. Like, and it's like you're just like, I just want to know where I'm supposed to go. And it feels
Yeah.
like the game purposely does not want me to know where I'm supposed to go until I spend like 20 to 30 minutes in the same map.
Yeah.
And, for someone like you, Ryan, that's like, I only have a limited amount of time. I want to beat this game in a week or, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like, it's inherently like, okay, come on. Like, like I would almost recommend this game for people to not play through in like a couple of sittings or like one sitting. Like I would say like play a level at a time.
Mhm.
But even still, like as a dad game, like to sit down and play like one level at a time, it's like, I don't know that I can guarantee you can finish a level in 30 minutes. Like, it's like it might start dragging on. It might be 40, 45, 50, and you're just like, I
Mhm.
can't figure out where to go, and I want to be done with this so I can set it down and it'll save my progress, and I can't set it down yet because I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go.
That
And it starts
Yeah.
irking you. You're like, oh, like
That's
and
actually
it's like,
one of my minor complaints about Helldivers 2 is that if all of a sudden I get called in to action, like in the family or like this, for example, I was actually playing Helldivers 2 at the airport on my Steam Deck, and I was like, this is great.
Mhm.
Plane's boarding now, Brian. Your group, get on the plane. And I'm like, oh man. And the whole time, like I knew that I had like I was like, all right, 20 minutes till we board. All right, 10 minutes till we board. Like completed all their missions. All right, I'm trying to get to that extraction zone, but the team wants to go and hit every possible thing for the time limit. And I was just like, yeah. And then I was like, you had to drop, so I've run into that a little bit with that, where it's
Mhm.
like if you can't clear it in an amount of time, like I have to be like, yeah, nothing needs my attention for in 30-40 minute chunks, and the only time that happens is late at night or very very early in the morning when no one needs me. The Jim, do you have any other thoughts on this
Oh,
game?
I was gonna say the puzzles are cool. Like,
I hate them.
you hate them.
Yeah.
Okay. There was man, what mission? It was like mission 4, and you're trying to steal something from an Imperial base, and like you have to like move this like giant like pole with like and shoot out like little catwalks every
That one was okay. You're talking about like move the catwalks to like which door.
Yeah.
That one was okay. That's an
Yeah.
example of like a good one. But one's like find this particular key card on this guy, and you have no idea where the guy
Well,
is.
it's a
and
classic.
don't
You
know
just
that there's-
kill everybody. And just run over their body, right? You just pick up
Yeah.
their.
I don't know. It just feels a bit tedious. Like I liked that one because it was like
No,
use your brain, up, down, left, right, like figure out
for
where it needs to
sure.
go, and like that one was fun. But I think it's like when you're like, I don't know where I need to go. You're
Yeah.
not explaining to me where I need to go. Clearly, I don't have what I need, but I don't know what I need, and I don't know where it is. And
Yeah.
it's like, all right, let's sit in that existence, that feeling for 15 minutes, wandering around, looking at all the textures that look the exact same. Did I already go here? Oh, I did. Did I already go here? Oh, I didn't. I assumed that I had because it looks the same. Is this where what I need is? Oh, no, it's not. It's just a dead end with an interesting item that does something that I don't need to do right now. Okay, turn around. All right. And then finally I pull up a walkthrough guide and it's like, you need to do this thing. And I'm like, there's no way I would have ever figured that out if I'd have played this for like 30 more minutes. Like, why?
It's
Are you
such an
doing that to me?
interesting juxtaposition because like the thing that I see more in my feed is people complaining about modern gaming, and I'm like, man, you guys like don't remember. And what
There's
Kirk
a
is
balance,
describing, I'm
right?
like, there's absolutely a balance, but the other thing is like the internet exists now. I remember like you had to buy the Bradley book of the
Yeah.
guide or whatever if you needed it, and I it was like for me it was always a no. The only reason I ever the ones I purchased were all related to Final Fantasy because I wanted it after the fact. So I was like,
Mhm.
well, I'm already here. But like it was just like, okay, like now it's like, yeah, like Kirk, just like you just kind of look up a walkthrough. So part of it is like, well, the game can either educate you on where to go. Like, I think Ghost of Tsushima is perhaps the best example of both worlds, where the
Mhm.
wind tells you where you should be generally going, and then you have that discoverability, as opposed to like countless like little dots on the UI that are like, go here, do this.
Right.
We're gonna
And to
give
be
you,
totally clear, I have
yeah.
no issue with it being obtuse. Like it's very faithful. It's very faithful to the original, and it's good and authentic in that regard. So I don't think they should have changed anything. I don't know that they even should have put any sort of accessibility or easy mode or anything like that. I think I basically have a recommendation on it, which is that this one's $30. The Unfortunately, Dark Forces 2, me and Jim were lamenting this, that it's not available basically anywhere to play on a modern
Mhm.
system other than a computer. And
Steam,
good
but
luck
it's like
getting it to run on that,
oh,
like,
that's even
yeah.
worse. Yeah.
That's the downside of PC gaming. Whenever everybody's like PCMR, I'm like, all right, like I'm glad that you like troubleshooting. I've had days where I'm like,
Yeah.
I spent all my time trying to get my computer to play a game.
And you don't
That
have
wasn't
time to do
fun.
that.
I
Yeah.
don't. Well,
But
this
my
is even back when I
recommendation
did have
is,
time. It's actually where I did a brief switch over to Mac when I was like out of college, because I worked in tech, and I was just spent all day like troubleshooting PCs, and came home to my computer not wanting to work, spent all night troubleshooting my PC, and then I was like, I didn't get paid for half of this day, like for that effort. So yeah, it is what it is, man. It's just wild stuff.
sorry, I didn't catch that last bit. But
Oh, yeah, it's not
the the
not
the
pertinent.
recommendation I would give is that, so the second one unfortunately is like not available anywhere. But the third game in this like sort of trilogy, which is called Jedi Outcast,
Mm.
is available on the Xbox version is like the backwards compat version of Xbox. So I
Yep.
wouldn't necessarily recommend that one because it's like it's still in like like a square screen and they just block out the sides. And it's like it would
Yeah.
be better on a CRT.
Yeah.
But Aspire, who we're going to talk about in a second because they're porting the Battlefront collection, they actually ported remasters or releases of Outcast to PS5 and Switch and PC, I presume, as well.
Mhm.
And that game is $10. You can go buy that on PS5 or Switch right now, and it's like the same kind of game for $20 less. And it
Love
came
it.
out later, so it's not quite as like obtuse in terms of the design, and you can figure out very quickly if you're into that type of game or not. And then if you like it, go buy the other one and play that one. But yeah,
Mhm.
that would be my recommendation: is go play Outcast, and then
Mm.
Dark Force is just a prequel to that. Same character as Kyle Katarn. It also kind of gives you some perspective because like Jan Ors is like an actual character model, and like you see her in like cutscenes and stuff, and
Yeah.
like you're like reading in Dark Forces, so it's like it would almost be like, oh, these are these characters, but like in an older version, so you would kind of have that perspective of like who they are. Like I feel like that helps me with Kyle Katarn is like the fact that I played Dark Forces 2 with the stupid FMV cutscenes, and he's
Oh, I
like,
love
oh,
them.
and he's getting hit and stuff, and he has to like jump, for real, like, it pulls out his lightsaber, he's like, yeah, I'm a Jedi, like whatever, like that stuff is so corny, and like that made that game, and
Mhm.
so that at least like gives me a little bit of character and personality when I'm playing through Dark Forces, so that when you get a voice line like "this is too easy," I'm like, oh, it's this stupid goober. And like, so yeah, so I would definitely recommend like going and playing Outlast first, since it costs less than half the money and it's a newer game. Like I would say it doesn't look as good as this one, since the Dark Forces remaster is a remaster,
Mhm.
but it's close because it came out so much later. Even though it's just a port, like it's on par on PS5, I would say, to the remaster. So yeah, that's a great alternative. Just go out and pick that one up, and if you like it, yeah, then you're gonna like Dark Forces as well, and that's a good way to kind of mitigate your risk there. But yeah, they're good games. It's just like I don't want to play them now. I would play Jedi Knight 2, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, Dark Forces 2. I would play that one now because of those goofy cutscenes, the live action cutscenes, like, and that was my childhood. Like, I would
Mhm.
just play that game again because of the
Mhm.
nostalgia. But the other two without the nostalgia, it's like, ugh. Like I would rather play like Prey or the new Doom or some other first person shooter. I'll wait for Outlaws, whatever. Obviously that's third person. It's unfortunately didn't get that Respawn game,
That first
'cause
person,
that would have been
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
What do you guys think? How like obviously the news that broke alongside of more just industry bummer news. Like
It's unfortunate.
again, sucks for all these people who've lost their jobs in the industry, and I don't think we're done. And that's I think part of the thing that I'm like, man, how are you working in the industry right now for a studio that has yet to announce layoffs and just be like, are we next? Like, like I wonder if there's anyway, like outside of that, but obviously this Star Wars first person shooter by Respawn canceled, and
It sucks.
that sucks. For me, the first thought that I initially actually had was like, well, maybe Titanfall 3 is going to be a priority now or something like that, where the fans continue to
Well, in the
ask for that
Jedi game, the third Jedi game as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah,
want
of
to
course.
focus on that. They want to focus on making Apex as good as possible.
Mhm.
So that's good. In the wake of like Xbox cutting Activision Blizzard people from like not Destiny, Overwatch and Diablo,
Mhm.
to make those games better in terms of live content. It's good to see at least the ethos, at least the messaging from EA be, hey, we're canceling these other projects because we want to double down on what we have that works, and that includes Apex and that includes Jedi. That's at least what they said.
Also, they went
whether
on
they did
to
that
add
internally,
like
I'm not sure.
IP stuff.
moving away from more the
Yeah.
licensed IP, which
Which is
has been their bread
unfortunate
and butter.
because with stuff like Star Wars Outlaws,
Mhm.
you like the idea of seeing more and more IPs like that. The Black Panther game that EA is working on, like you like the idea of them interacting with more IPs like that, because there is a potential for it to be, despite the political situation, there is a potential for it to be a Hogwarts Legacy and that come out and crush and be the best-selling game of the year, and Work to Game gives it Game of the Year because it's so good, it makes such a good use of that IP. But then you also have like Marvel's Avengers, and so it's like,
Whoa.
sometimes hey, I like Avengers, Jim. That's a different podcast. we could have a different podcast another day. We talked about that when we talked about
if we
Suicide
talk
Squad.
about Avengers though, it feels like it's two games, and the one game that was like the story narrative,
Suicide Squad's the same way.
It was great.
The same way.
I was like, yeah, I enjoyed that, and then
But it's the opposite. Suicide Squad has good games as a service and bad story.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, we're very off topic.
Sorry.
With games that get canceled, the first question I would have, like, same with Factions, same with these other games that get canceled, and games that almost get canceled, like a Skull and Bones, but they couldn't because of legal reasons, is like, what was wrong with it? And it's like, you say on paper, oh, Respawn, the masters of first-person shooters, we're going to make a Mandalorian-style bounty hunter, whatever, first-person action-adventure game that gets cut, in the Star Wars universe, that gets cut, that sucks. Like, that just objectively is bad, that gets canned. And it's like, well, yeah, on paper, yeah. But then if you told me that a game that BioWare masterclass developers were working on about guys flying around an alien planet in Iron Man mech suits gets canceled, I would be like, that's awful. I would have loved to play that game.
Anthem.
I'm sure it would have been so good.
You loved Anthem
and then
too?
It's like,
dude.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Are we?
crapping
Did we
on
just
all
become?
the games you love?
Did we just become best friends,
just
Jim?
bring you on to crap on your favorite games.
No, I know they're bad, but I love them anyways.
Dude,
Sorry.
yeah,
That's
especially the javelins.
Jim,
That's all I'm gonna say.
let-
Javelins
Jimmy-
are great.
Jimmy boy, let me introduce you to the world of Skull and Bones. Okay,
Bro,
let me
I know.
Let me bring you in and show you this fantastic pirating world, and we will make lots of content together.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, like my thoughts on this whole FPS situation is, yeah, it's like Respawn is like one of the best developers in the last decade, I think. I mean, I don't think they've had a miss, right? I know like with Apex there's probably some people who can chirp about like live service stuff, but I mean overall all their games are excellent. So for EA to say, hey, we don't think this is worth investing in because of, like, Star Wars IP is still pretty strong, even though you talk about the movies or whatever. Great developer, and they're still like, nah, we're good. Like, that's crazy, dude. Like, what does that say? You're talking about the industry. Like, what does that say about like where we're at in terms of just like financially, in terms of companies trying to grow and grow and grow? Can't remember who it was, like Khalif Adams or something, was like talking about how like we're kind of capped out as an industry in terms of like the game systems are only going to sell 144 million or less, right? It's not like there's no growth in that way. It's just so you're always kind of
I would push the or less even stronger this generation because
yeah,
if you look at last generation, those numbers are padded by the mid-gen refresh that all count towards the same console sales number, but you're
yeah,
not necessarily adding in more console gamers. Like I don't have an exact number, but I would estimate like you should just look at whatever that is and take, a 25% right off the top to get a kind of an estimate of how that's truly impacted. And that actually shows negative in
yeah,
terms of growth. And people have said it, like the console market itself is a matured market. Like
yeah. There you go.
it is not that like there's no breaking through the glass ceiling. It's just stepping further and further down, especially with like, Kirk, I think he did a great job on Lonos talking about like games exclusivity. But like when you look at like Elden Ring and you look at some of these really big, even Hogwarts Legacy, like these games, these third party games, they do numbers that no first party game ever even comes close to. And with the rising costs, like Helldivers is also on piece. Like as soon as you are in more than one spot, you're no longer exclusive. So Helldivers is not a PlayStation exclusive, but I'm fine if they own it and they control it and they want to fund it because it's a great game. But the reality is there's so many little factors going on. Like when we look at just how capital is no longer basically free, there's that factor. So basically these companies would take out loans to fund the project to kind of ensure, like their at home capital. They use their capital to get the loan. Now that loan costs 5 times more. And so then all of a sudden the expenses, like with Sony and with them, like they're just like going up logarithmically, to a thing where it's like, if this game fails, we're in trouble. Like not to the point where like, oh, we had a miss, like Microsoft.
Outlaws.
Well, like what was the Redfall? Like Microsoft can have those kind of misses. They're insulated, right? Sony isn't, and that's where it's like, and EA really isn't. They're
They were trying to get bought, right? Like a year ago or something like that. So
they were like, please somebody buy us.
yeah. So I don't know, man. The cool thing is like now with how they license out the Star Wars IP, like we definitely could get a first person shooter from somebody else at some point. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's a small chance the game could have just been terrible. Like they were like demoing it and they were like, wow, this is we gotta pass on this. But I can't imagine that being the case. And it's also interesting that they're still on board with that strategy game they're making. I don't even know if we know anything about it, but like so I'm just wondering if that's just like a budgetary issue, if like that game's like super like low key.
Could be an HR issue too, though, because like one of the factors that I always say that's different about general project management is you need passion. You need people who want to actively make this game. And if they're having turnover, which there's a lot of that going on, like it could end up just being like, what's it going to take to get this up? And if they are like, well, we got to restart the project because the guy who was the lead he left because, he can, like if they run into that kind of situation, like that stuff we'll never see. Like that's where it's like, man, to be a fly on the wall in those meetings would be so insightful. And like, is it EA? Because EA gave Anthem 7 freaking years to develop themselves. What's changed?
Well,
it's like
it could be that is like they're like we're not doing anything like that again. So
exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of games that they're putting everywhere with little monetary cost and hopefully a reap on the small amount of investment. What about the Battlefront collection? Going everywhere, but for some reason not being able to play with your friends everywhere because that would have just made too much sense. And we're seeing this trend now of games that are cross-gen, right, Brian? Like Grand Blue, but not cross-play.
I'm still
like,
excited. Grand Blue's
doing.
Grand Blue's actually doing really well on Steam, which was my concern. So I'm excited to see that it is having a healthy player base. But yes, exactly, Kirk. Like, why? It doesn't. In a world where crossplay exists, like I said, as soon as that came in, like we're seeing this is the start of a major shift. Because now if you're like, hey, my game doesn't have crossplay, most likely friend groups are going to be like, well, I guess we're going to stick with the game that we currently play that does, because otherwise people aren't just going to go run out and buy a PlayStation or an Xbox or invest in a gaming machine. Like people get what they like and they kind of stick with it, and that teams, especially with digital libraries. So,
And I feel like that's the whole value prop of something like a Battlefront re-release is the online multiplayer.
exactly.
Like Jim, you and I are both really excited about it. Like I'm sure as for me, that game meant a lot to your childhood and that you played hours and hours and hours of it. So like, and even when the DICE remakes, if you will, I don't really know what to contextualize those are as, but the DICE Battlefront 1 and 2, they were good games, but I feel like they didn't encapsulate or capture like what was the essence of the originals. Like I felt like they were just kind of battlefield games that they made with the Star Wars license. I didn't really feel like they were anything like the original Battlefronts. So like it's good to see it come back, but then it just feels like such a huge like, oh my heart, like to see that like it's not gonna be crossplay. It's not going to have its like Fortnite moment or whatever, where it's like everybody's getting on, Battlefront to play together when it comes out or anything. It's like you can't do that, and it's like, dang, like so then it's kind of just the version that's already Xbox back compat on Xbox Series X or whatever console you own. But they're turning the online on, hooray! But, it's like. That's good. Like that's good. I mean, I'm bad at shooters online, so I'm probably just gonna play against the AI anyway. But I mean, for somebody like you, it's probably good, Jim, so you can get on there and Twitch stream it with the online. But I just think that's such a huge miss to not have one solid community together playing this game and sort of reliving those old experiences that meant so much to them.
Yeah, I think it's just like a budget thing. Like Aspire with all their other ports, they've not really touched the games if at all, and so with like for example with Jedi Academy when they ported
Jedi Outcast $10 on PS5.
There you go. With Jedi Academy, that when that got ported to PlayStation and Switch and not Xbox, because they had the back compat version. They had online, but it was just like if you're on Switch, you're on Switch. If you're on PlayStation, you're on PlayStation. Ironically, that game had like this weird issue where they used like the same servers that the PC version used. And so
I think ironically, Jedi Academy did have cross-play online multiplayer.
Unintentionally, though, I think.
And then people were like, I am on Switch. I cannot play this game against people that are not on Switch. I am going to lose.
You'd be on Switch and like
mad. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. Because like now I'm gonna buy that on Switch. Yeah.
So now then, why not like Xbox PC or something? Like I'm
gonna buy.
I would not be surprised if the same thing happens again, where it's like you're playing on PS4 and you see like this guy with like the weird keyboard letters in his name jump in and you're like, what the heck? And he's like doing the 360 no scopes and stuff like that. Like I could see that happening, but
I feel like all the value prop is to get the Battlefront collection on Switch because it's gonna look good on like your handheld, like whether it's OLED or whatever. If it's OLED, it's gonna look great. It's gonna be the best games ever looked on that small OLED screen. And then B, like you can play online with other Switch people that aren't gonna be cracked. And that's gonna be a fun time. I don't know that I want it on PlayStation 5 if I can't. If there's not always going to be a ton of people on it, from various platforms. I mean,
I think just based on what I've seen online, because with Jedi Academy, when that launched in like April 2020, the online community was there for all the different platforms for like a month, and then now if you try to play it online, like you just probably won't find a game. Although I don't know if the PC thing still works. Anyways,
that would be really bad if that happens for this game because I care a lot about it. So
I think the Battlefront community is bigger and more passionate than the Jedi Knight community. Because like it's all anecdotally stuff, like, but when all the trailers got posted, like the Battlefront Collection one, like was like one of the highest viewed on PlayStation and the Switch, YouTubes and the Xbox. So I think there is a passion, which. Going back to like the canceled FPS game, I'm like, how do we not have a live service Star Wars game consistently? Like, because you were talking about the ICA Battlefront 2, like they were really starting to get into a groove where they're updating the game like every month with like a new game mode, a new like kind of skin.
I think there could have been a Battlefront 3 from DICE if they didn't hit that giant microtransaction controversy like head on. and then it was
Yeah.
just damage control
Yeah.
from there on out.
That was one of the big catalysts, because it was both a beloved franchise, and also people just felt like they were just getting absolutely raked over the coals. And based off the numbers, they weren't wrong. Like, but the damage was done, and it ended up being a whole thing. And that ends up, I think, being a big push to the rise of the battle pass anyway, because all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how do we transition
It
off
makes you
of
feel like you're
Mhm.
earning
Oh,
it
that
from
was
playing
right.
the game rather
Yeah.
than just arbitrary gambling mechanics.
right? Like, oh,
And
I might
I'm in
get the
favor of
thing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I
too.
don't like loot box rolls very
I
much.
don't, I don't have a problem with gambling per se, but my problem ends up being is that, especially with children, like they're so impressionable. Like, you're just training them to get addicted to slots, and it's like, if you're an adult and you have full ability, and like, all right, you want to go gamble, and that's you. Like, I ain't gonna stop.
people
But
hate Overwatch 2 because they say it's over monetized, and I'm like, the fact that I can go in the shop, see a skin, especially for like a young impressionable person, I can see
Yeah.
a Mercy skin and be like, Lifeguard Mercy or like whatever, and be like, is that worth $20?
right,
Is that worth $20? Because in the previous system, it was like, oh well, you might need to spend $40 to maybe get the thing that you might want. But you don't think about it that way. You think,
Yeah.
I'll spend 10 and then 10 and then 10 and then 10. You're not perceiving it the same way.
correct.
And it's much more equitable in terms of like, I see the thing, you're charging me that much for the thing. And like, that's how we get conversations about like, is a Lamborghini in Fortnite or whatever the racing version of Fortnite is worth $30? And then people are like, no, it's not. And so that's much more transparent for the
Mhm.
gamer and for the consumer, is like, here is a one-to-one value proposition, a one-to-one exchange where you can put in money to get something.
Yeah,
And,
and the
I think
market
that
then
that's way better.
decides, right? Because
Yeah.
then the market's like, oh, this is a fine price. Because it's like the thing I've always been interested, because I've seen a lot of people push back. I literally had somebody who was like, oh yeah, they're just going to charge me 99 cents. And like, I'd buy a pack for 99 cents. Well, now they just charge me 99 cents for the skin. I was like, no, 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 no. They had odds in there. They're like, that 99 cents might work for you, but they're generally thinking that's going to be $10, $20 that they're going to generate based off of people doing those dollar pools. And then essentially, like, when it comes to that, like, here's the price of it, the market then decides, and people buy it. If you overprice something, guess what? You make less money. Like, that's what we're seeing right now, I think, with the $70 AAA game versus like these $30 and $40 games that are just coming out, and people are like, this is what I wanted. This is great. And they sell more, and thus they end up making more. So it's like price. I'm never really worried. I'm never worried about price, because it's either going to be something that I'm like, no way I'm going to pay that. I'm just going to wait till it's on sale if I want it. But I think a lot of that is that these things are priced to drive sales, so that when you see that skin at $10, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'd be stupid not to buy it now. And that's essentially, they're like, well, if someone wants to buy it at 20, buy it at 20, but we really
fallacy of value.
yeah. And so that's where it's like, I see that kind of
That's
coming
why
into
I
play.
love Skull and Bones, Brian, because they give me the legendary flamethrower on the first time.
The first, oh, see, and that's also something I always like. I'm like, I perfectly fine with RNG progression as long as there's a static form of it. And you said, yep, statically 75, currency to get this. Turns out I got it on the first drop. You feel so good, because you're like, oh, and then somebody was like, oh, I didn't get that. Oh, but I did make progress towards getting it, and I'm going to be guaranteed, this is the maximum cap of things I have to do. So I think that both are important to gaming joy.
Yeah. Ginger, that's like interesting. This just the sliding glass doors moment of like Battlefront 2 and Fortnite, because Fortnite just nailed live service monetization, and Battlefront came out like right around the same time as the VR mode dropped, and then they bundled it.
It gave people a choice, right? Like, that's where it's like, oh, I don't want to reward this, I want to reward that. And so I was like, when I see people are like, all we have to do, guys, is get together, and none of us spend money on microtransactions. And we're like, all three of us, okay, we can do that. Meanwhile, we made $50 billion EA over here. And it's like, well, somebody's
that's
writing
how I
these
was
checks.
about like Destiny 1, like the Dark Below. Like, I didn't buy the Dark Below because I was like, this is scummy. And now it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry that everybody is copied with these stupid expansions and these stupid microtransactions. It's like, yeah, we never stood a chance.
Yeah, and I think that's just, I guess, a testament to the scale in which that gaming has grown. Because it's like, I'm perfectly fine. Like, if you want to take a stance on, like, what you feel that would better benefit gaming as a whole, go for it, man. But understand, the monumental task. And actually, when like to call back to the when that was going on with EA Star Wars Battlefront, like people were like, but there's all these other issues. They're like, oh, we should call out this stuff too. And I go, you're missing the point of momentum. Like if you want people to show up for something, and if everybody's like, let's pick one thing at a time, focusing on that one thing, and then yes, let's have a discussion where we want to go next. But generally, everybody just kind of scatters
and to
after
their credit,
the thing is.
they pulled it. They pulled
did.
it like immediately, like it
before
was
launch.
Yeah.
Didn't
That's
out.
right. It was the beta. I didn't
Yeah.
even remember that. And so it's like, but then the game was just tainted by that discourse, like forever.
Well,
and
and
I
that
feel
was
bad
built
for them
on
because it was
yeah.
it was a decently good game. Like it
I
was
played
pretty
it.
good. Yeah.
I played it, and there was a satisfaction in what they delivered. And you're absolutely right. Like, but I think it was tainted, but it was also indicative of the frustration that had been building. And then everybody just found a kind of a, something that they could focus in on and say, EA bad, this monetization
which
bad.
was good. I think the two
Yeah.
games that really elicited the most outrage were that game and Shadow of War, because of the pivot from Shadow of Mordor and how Shadow of Mordor
Oh,
had
yeah.
zero microtransactions.
Yep.
And then they like locked the ending behind a paywall somehow. I can't remember how they did that. It was like you needed to roll loot boxes to get the good orc captains to like do whatever.
And
we
I
kind
loved
of
the first
purged that
one.
from
I
our
never played the
games.
second
first
one.
one's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one's good too. They just baked microtransactions into the mechanics. Like they made it desirable for you to spend money,
which they
to
took
progress
out
in
at
the
this
game.
point, right? Like that's not in there.
I hope so. That'd be cool.
I feel like I remember reading an IGN article like 6 months later. They're like, all right, we're done. We're not
and
making
it's great to see that we kind of eradicated that. And it,
Mhm.
if we get the stupid cash shops, like I saw Tekken 8 has a cash shop now where you buy outfits for like $5 to $10.
The MMOs that I play, Final Fantasy 14 is the sub and it has a cash shop. Like it's like these things just go hand in hand.
Which that's the nice thing about old games, like Jim and I are going to be jumping in Battlefront on the 14th, or I think it comes out the 14th, and it's just like, just play the game, man. Just play the game, enjoy it, and you can't play with your friends, but it's okay. I wonder if it'll even have party group up. Like, I wonder if you'll be able even to squad up.
Ooh.
That would be rough, right? That'd be rough if you can't. Surely you can do like a squad of 4 or something like that.
And thinking back to Jedi Academy with Aspire, like it was the exact same like framework of the original game. So it was like server based. So I would have to maybe go on YouTube and like watch like Xbox Live online or whatever Steam online for this game and see how that works.
We need watch this space and watch that launch, because that one could be like, oh, this is great, like everybody's having fun, or it could be like ooh, this is not great.
I think regardless, hopefully like it sells well enough that it speaks to Disney that like there's a thirst for this kind of experience, regardless of the online for the classic.
Yeah, like I wish I could recommend that everybody go out and buy Dark Forces so they would make Dark Forces 2, but like I can't. Like I don't think that it holds up that well. I think that there's like better uses of your $30 and your gaming time in the year 2024, when like so many good games came out last year and so many good games already came out this year.
And more to like, it's like they're like
I haven't played Helldivers 2 yet. Like I haven't played Helldivers 2 yet because I'm playing Dark Forces, and I'm like, I need to go play the new like I feel like Helldivers nails that Battlefront feeling.
But then you have like Moon Studio, No Rest for the Wicked. That's previewing really well. Cool, you've got like, Dragon's Dogma 2. I
love my Soul stuff, Brian. I like my Souls likes. Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. And I'm like, okay, like I'm just like this year alone, like I felt like last year was one of the best years for gaming. This year starting off strong. Lots of really good games to play, and no sign of that really kind of slowing down. We could see what Xbox delivers with Avowed. That's kind of a big question mark up in the air for Kirk and I, based off of what they've already shown. But you got Indiana Jones and more. Like there's this year alone, like it could just build off of that. And I think that also, before I have to let you guys talk about Outlaws and get back to work, I think that also just kind of adds to that growing frustration that we see it seems like every week now with layoffs. Like it's like the industry's like great, everybody's like having fun and the games are great and we're all like, yeah, we're buying them, and then it's like I don't know if that's indicative of like an upcoming crash or just trying to stave off and having to do a mid-gen pivot. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's been like a strong year so far. It'll be interesting to see what PlayStation has up their sleeve, since they were like, we don't have any big games coming out this year, but they're gonna have stuff come out.
But
It's
like
just
they
like, what
do,
is
yeah, like Rebirth, Stellar
Yeah.
Blade, Rise of the Ronin, like they have exclusives. They just don't have anything coming out from that studio.
They're the only one who has exclusives that's not Nintendo.
Yeah. And my guess is that Jim, I'll be interested to see if you agree with this, but my guess is that Sucker Punch's next game, which I assume is Ghost 2, was supposed to hit this year and it didn't work out. And so like
Yeah.
it seems like this is like the vacancy when that game would have come out. And
Yeah.
it's like I assume they had to delay it internally or something. So that's why that messaging came out, is like they had a space for that to land, and it's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
But PlayStation does that, and I think to great credit. It's one of the reasons why they've earned their reputation for these quality first-person games, is they give them the time to cook, where Microsoft feels more like their games of service anyway, like Halo Infinite, like they're just,
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. Yeah, exactly. Where they want that reoccurring user as opposed to like that narrative driven experience. And if you want a narrative driven experience, you're only going to find that right now, in my opinion,
You got to give it time.
on PlayStation. Yeah,
you got to give them the time. I mean, I'm sure Hogwarts, I'm sure they made sure that game was as polished as they possibly could before that came out. I mean, you remember, Brian,
like 2018, when they announced
when we were talking about it, leading up to when we gave it Game of the Year, I was like, when I saw the previews for that game, I was like, this is either going to be one of the best games ever made, or it's going to be like a complete, you just put out your video on the Ginger Prime channel about Sean Murray and how he lied and everything.
Yeah.
Purportedly or accurately or what have you, we won't debate, but how he lied to everybody about what the game was going to be, and it was false advertising. And I was like, it's either going to be Hogwarts is either going to be the best game ever made, or it's going to be like one of those again. And sure enough, like all the previews, all the marketing, all the commercials, like it's just the game. Like that's just what it is. Yeah. And I was just like, there's no way, dude. Like how in a world where there's so many games that come out and it's like, oh, you don't actually get to do that thing. Even Skull and Bones, people are like, oh, you're just a boat or like whatever.
Right. Like,
like Hogwarts is like, yeah, dude, you've got a wand and you're a wizard and you can do all of it. You can go anywhere and you can do whatever you want. And the castle's huge and the Highlands are huge. And so it's like, I hope you're right. I hope that Ubisoft delays Star Wars Outlaws for 2 years if they have to, because that game's got to come out and it's got to be amazing. It's got to be the benchmark, it's got to be what Starfield was supposed to be, or what Hogwarts Legacy is, which is like the benchmark game for people to play year after year after year if they want to engage with a certain idea or a certain IP. Like Star Wars Outlaws needs to be the Star Wars game, the open world Star Wars action adventure game, the way that Hogwarts Legacy is for the Harry Potter IP, of like, I want to be a wizard, I want to go to Hogwarts, I want to have this like wizarding life adventure, like I'm going to go play that game. And I'm sure you could sink 200 hours into that game and have a blast for all of it if that's what you want to do. And hopefully Star Wars Outlaws ends up being like that. Like I feel like they've got to nail that feeling of like, I am in this world. I am a mercenary, or I am, on the Outer Rim working for Jabba the Hutt, or like whatever I'm doing, or I can go do these other things. I can maybe there is a way that I can sort of become like a pseudo Jedi or something and interact with the Force. Like whatever you're going to be able to do, they got to make it compelling and interesting and nail that.
Will there be a Jedi? Will there be a Jedi in Star Wars Outlaws?
There has to be, right?
There will be a Jedi character. I don't think that you will be
right.
I almost don't want them to do that. But
what if it was like an antagonist or something like that, where it's just like
the easy allies? Will there be a lightsaber in Star Wars Outlaws?
I'm gonna have to dip out, guys. So I'm gonna hand it over to Kirk and Jim for the rest of the show.
I think. I mean, we're kind of wrapping.
Yeah, Joker's not here, so we don't have the Destiny stuff.
I mean,
I just didn't want to cut y'all short.
Any final thoughts on Outlaws, and when do you think it's going to come out, and what are you hoping for, or what are you expecting?
I think it comes out this year. I think it's like November.
This year.
Yeah.
Because they haven't said it's this year. I thought it was.
They said it this year.
Okay.
Did they say? I'm pretty sure they said 2024. Because when they announced it a few months ago, they said 2024.
Okay. That'd be awesome if it's coming out this year.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be great as long as it's ready.
Yeah. I think. I have high hopes just because of that team, Massive. They've really hit bunch of their like the Avatar game was like awesome. Division is great. And kind of like what you were talking to, Kirk, like since you're playing a smuggler, you need to get gritty, right? Like you need that Cassian Andor
Yeah.
shooting the dude in the gut so he doesn't rat you out. You need like the Han Solo shooting down Greedo under the table. Like I want to be a little mean in that game.
They got to nail that vibe for sure.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see like the agency that you have with like some of the dialogue stuff you get to pick. I played a couple like Ubisoft games like Far Cry and stuff, and you do get sometimes choice, but it's not like Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever, for example. Where,
Yeah,
like,
if it's not dialogue, give me player agency to experience things in the world that I want to experience. That's all I ask.
Yeah. And the cover system needs to be great. In that one trailer, like you need to be able to just jump in and out of cover and shooting. Like
Division was okay though. So
yeah.
Hopefully,
Division was
they
good.
nail that. Yeah.
I'm
I'm excited.
The cover
If it does
mechanics.
come out this year, I didn't know that, and that would be awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Brian and I will be playing it because that game looks sick. Hopefully, it is another Hogwarts, and it just is what it looks like. That'd be awesome. That's what you hope for every game. Just be what it looks like. Just be what it looks like.
You gotta have the cameos or references. Like you gotta nail all that stuff just to feel like you exist in that world.
All right, Jimmy, plug your stuff one more time. Guys, go check this guy out. He's really entertaining.
Yeah, so I stream like 5 times a week on twitch.tv/JimTasty, mostly like shooters and battle royales. And then we upload twice a week on youtube.com/shared screens covering like pop culture and video games. So check us out over there. And yeah, I'm super active on Twitter, Jim Tasty tweets. So hit me up there too, man.
All right. Kirk, what do you got coming up?
As far as the channel, not much.
You're doing weekly with Lono as well, though. So
yes, well, I'll be over on Reforge every Monday, and as far as reviews, just haven't been getting stuff because Suicide Squad killed my channel. So I might
get it
take a
back.
break or we'll get it back. I anticipate doing a review on NCAA football.
Yeah.
But
finally coming back.
If I can do something before that would be great. But it just depends, man. It's hard out here. I wanted to do a review on Outlast Trials, which launches on console tomorrow, but just didn't happen. So the review game is hard. Thankfully we got these Dark Forces copies. But I just didn't end up enjoying it enough to really. I don't like to put out a lot of negativity about games.
Yeah.
Like, even in my review about Suicide Squad, I was like, it's really fun. It's it's captivating in the combat, but the characters are annoying and the story's bad.
That's usually why, because on that point, because I agree with you, because there's just plenty of that. People, oh, this game sucks. It's like, what's its value? Like, what's the value proposition in the game? Like, it's like, yeah, maybe I don't think it's worth $100, but it definitely was worth $30 or 40. Like, and everybody's gonna have a different scale for that. But that's where I agree with.
That's why I came on and recommended, like, go buy and play Jedi Outcast for that lower price point. See if you like those games, because I don't want to turn anybody off of Dark Forces, and maybe they would love it. Like it's just not for me or what I want to play right now in the year 2024. But or just buy it outright for $30 if you want to. If you think you're going to enjoy it, if you've liked what you've seen, go play that game, because it's awesome for what it is. So I don't like being super negative about stuff. I'm glad that stuff exists. I'm glad Skull and Bones exists, and maybe I should start Twitch streaming Skull and Bones.
Dude, you're loving it so much that I think you should. Like, honestly,
I just don't know enough. Like I see other videos from other content creators, and they're like, "Go here and do this thing," and I'm like, I didn't even know that, dude. Like, what?
But I know so many people who talk themselves out, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with not being like,
that's
like, it's like, I'm discovering this too, guys. Like,
but I'm not entertaining like you guys.
I think you're entertaining.
I disagree. Yeah, you're entertaining, man. It's you
like,
either want to know too much or not enough.
Make sure I watch every Lono and you, because you guys like are entertaining. But yeah, Kirk, you're entertaining. Don't sell yourself short, man.
Well, yeah, make sure you go watch Jim Tasty play some original Battlefront, because I know that's gonna be.
He's probably definitely more entertaining than both of us, though. Like, it's like
combined.
There's a level of entertainment.
Thank you for elevating the quality of the show, Jim. We appreciate it.
Oh, come on.
All right, guys. For me, I just, as Kirk alluded to, I released a state of the game for No Man's Sky. As I dove into the history, I was really surprised by people who are upset about the game still 8 years later. And as a new player, I was like, I don't have that I can't share in that animosity. Like I'm like, oh, so I kind of dove into the history and all the updates, and eventually reached my conclusion. So those are fun. I try to release at least 2 official state of the games every month, and then having another discussion edited topic as well. So you can find that over on Ginger Prime. But thanks everybody here for joining us for the live show. Hopefully you guys check out the MP3 audio and more once that gets processing and all that. So usually try to happen the day or the day after, but you never know with YouTube, and you never know how that goes. But anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna hit the outro, and we'll see you next time.
Epic Loot Radio. Epic Loot Radio.